Hey soldiers, the CBDC, the Fed and Treasury are trying hard to implement this massive control mechanism over not just our financial lives, but over every aspect of our life. Imagine if you had money that the government could program such that you could only use it for certain things at certain times in certain places. That is a CBDC, and that is what this government wants. And when I say government, let me slice that up a little bit right here. I'm talking about the bureaucracy, the people you never see, the people you don't vote for these people, okay? They don't have term limits, right? Like Anthony Fauci, he's been in there for 40 years, okay? The unaccountable, anonymous bureaucracy that wants complete control over every aspect of your life. They're going to do it by economics, because you don't need to fight for legislation that will quash the Second Amendment, gun control. You don't need to do that if you've got a CBDC. All you have to do is program it such that it cannot be used for certain purchases, like ammunition, okay, for example. You don't think the United States government would do that? Well, if that's the case, I got a bridge to sell you. And before I sell you that bridge, I need you to go ahead and hit the subscribe button. Become a soldier of finance. Enlist. Become a soldier in the war on poverty, which is what our government is trying to drive us all to. Let me know you enlisted. Let me know you hit that subscribe button by leaving me a comment on this video, and I will salute you. I salute all of the soldiers of finance everywhere around the world. And I need you all to do me a favor. Hit the thumbs up. Somebody left me a comment saying, why are you asking people to leave your thumbs up? Because I want people to watch my videos. Okay. Anyway, go ahead and hit the thumbs up. That way it will inform the algorithm that this is something worth pushing to the masses. Okay. So I thank you for that. Hey, another commenter had said to me, and he erased this comment because the comment came in and said, hey, this seems, it was on one of the videos we did about what's going on with the dollar and how the other countries are moving away from it. And the comment was, hey, this seems like clickbait. Is this really going on? So in my mind, I'm thinking, why don't you just watch the video and then you can determine. But I want to address that. You know what, guys? You don't need to, if you're a creator, video creator, for this type of material, you don't need clickbait, because the headlines today and what's going on in the world today, it is so unbelievable that if it were meant as clickbait, you just wouldn't buy it. Okay. You just say, this is too fantastical. The United States government is trying to create programmable, expirable money. Okay. That's just unbelievable. But guess what, guys? It's true. And we see the states starting to push back. Florida, they've got some legislation in, and they're making some good points about the way this CBDC is being implemented. Remember, in July, and we've done plenty of reporting on this, the underlying framework for the central bank digital currency here in America, FedNow, will be turned up. All right. And when I say turned up, it's like, you ever see the Terminator movie with Skynet? Okay. And how that got started. This is the equivalent of that, but with your money. Okay. It's the biggest threat to your freedom that has ever come down the pike here in America, because I don't care if you are gay, transgender, straight, Baptist, Catholic, agnostic, black, white, old, young, none of that matters. All of us under the socioeconomic scale of below billionaire, okay, all of us are going to be subject to a massive amount of control that our government will hold the strings. All right. So let's get together on this, right, and start understanding what's going on. And yes, there is something you can do. We'll talk about it shortly. Ron DeSantis, lawmakers in Florida push back against central bank digital currency. Governor Ron DeSantis joined lawmakers on Monday in pushing back against potential central bank digital currency financial systems, firing off a tweet condemning the Federal Reserve after it stated it would implement such a currency if the U.S. Congress and the executive branch supported it. Okay. Now, as a former lobbyist, I can tell you that that support better be in the way of legislation, not just a whole bunch of, not a resolution. Okay. Legislation, law. And as we educate the public, that's why it's important to hit that thumbs up, because we want to educate as many people as possible about the dangers of the CBDC, the danger to your personal economy and to your freedom. And the more people know about that, the harder it will be to get legislation through, because congressmen and senators will have to face you at these town hall meetings, or have to actually, you're calling their office telling them that you don't want this garbage. It's not merely ideal that major changes in policy receive specific authorization from Congress in the form of a law that is, sent up, the bill rather, sent up to the president to become a law. It is constitutionally required, said DeSantis. Unaccountable institutions cannot impose a CBDC on Americans. Unaccountable institutions. Who is the Fed accountable to? Because think about the name Federal Reserve Bank. It's not a federal agency. It is not a bank, and it has no reserves. Okay. So this is not a bank you can walk into and say, I want to open a deposit. No, this is a central bank. All right. Controlling monetary policy. All right. Whereby the Congress and the president control the fiscal policy. What is the difference? Well, the monetary policy is, of course, the interest rates and the money supply, while the fiscal policy is mainly consists of taxation, whether or not you lower them or increase them. And trust me, we will be realizing increased taxes as our debt continues to increase, and as more nations back away from the dollar, dwindling and de-emphasizing the dollar as a global reserve currency. All right. So they tell us that a CBDC won't be abused, but we are wise enough to know better. We damn sure are, because we just saw how now, whether I don't care what side of the equation you were on in 2020 and with the vax. Okay. It is empirically obvious that the way that thing, it wasn't marketed. Okay. Dissenters were demonized. All right. Right here in America by the government. Okay. You had the president of the United States get up and tell a bold-faced lie and say that once you got this certain medication, you were good. And if you didn't get it, you were a part of a death cult and you wanted to pass on, disease. And that's what went on. So can you imagine if they had a CBDC and they were able to say, everybody who does not want to take this medication, you will now realize the power of the U.S. government, and we will restrict your ability to spend. Okay? You're going to be allowed so much money a week. You're going to be allowed only to spend it in certain places at certain times. This is currently going on in China with the social credit score. It's another thing. The CBDC would be the mechanism by which you can incorporate into it a social credit score to modify your behavior. Okay? Like some Pavlovian dog. That is the way our government apparently sees us. Now, Florida Senate Bill 7054, introduced by the Banking and Insurance Committee down there in the Florida legislature, aims to protect Floridians' privacy and rights by prohibiting a United States Federal Reserve CBDC, if one is developed, and foreign CBD from being treated as money under the Florida Uniform Commercial Code. Isn't it interesting? We're starting to see the states kind of do some potential recessionary rumblings, and it's happening along economic lines. Okay, we did the report a while back about states that were actually moving in the direction of trying to establish gold reserves. Okay, Kentucky was one of them. So I think One of the Dakotas was another. And now we have Florida saying, no, you're not going to bring your CBDC down here. The bill defines CBDC as digital currency issued by the U.S. Federal Reserve, Foreign Reserve System, or other specified entity. I'd include U.S. Treasury in there as well. Or that is processed or validated directly by them, and excludes CBDC from the definition of money in the Florida Uniform Commercial Code. Okay, so that's a little ham-handed the way they phrase that, but they're saying that on the one hand, they're going to prohibit the CBDC, okay, and on the other hand, they're going to exclude CBDC. It's not going to be considered money as far as a Florida Uniform Commercial Code. Now, in reality, I can see this getting really, really thorny, especially for people who travel to Florida, okay, or for Floridians who travel to other states, all right? If I'm a Floridian, and I would be all for this law, but if it went through and I wanted to travel to another state, then let's say one of the blue states, blue politically speaking, I would probably have to have some sort of CBDC account in order to get along in that state, to be able to, find lodging, to eat, okay, to be transported wherever it is I want to go. And if you are fully ensconced in the CBDC ideology and you travel to Florida, will it be a system whereby when in Rome? Or I think what would happen is folk that run businesses in Florida will push back a little and say, hey, look, you're keeping me from realizing the maximum amount of revenue I can get if you're not allowing these people to do that. So there's a lot of moving parts with this, okay? The United States Constitution provides Congress with the exclusive power to regulate currency, including the power to coin money, regulate its value, and fix the standards of weights and measures. Congress has historically exercised this authority through various legislation, including the Mint Act of 1792, which established the U.S. coinage system and the dollar as the unit of U.S. currency, and the Federal Reserve Act of 1931, which codified the Federal Reserve System and authorized the issuance of Federal Reserve notes. Okay. All right. So nowhere in there do we read that the Fed or even the Treasury has the autonomous authority to just start making decisions about, what the currency will be. Okay. Yeah, Treasury has the job of issuing that currency. Okay. Creating it. Okay. Taxing it. This is Treasury. I think the Secret Service is even under Treasury. So there's some enforcement capability there that allows the Treasury to safeguard the money from counterfeiting and things like that. Money in the U.S. takes multiple forms, including central bank money issued by the Federal Reserve, commercial bank money held in accounts at commercial banks, and non-bank money held in balances at non-bank financial service providers, like insurance companies, for example, okay? Brokerages. The digital processing of credit and debit card transactions and the creation of banking apps have led to the digitization of many cash-based transactions. The use of digital currencies, including CBDCs, has gained increased attention in recent years. Of course, it has gained attention because governments around the world have decided that they want to, slide swiftly toward authoritarianism, even right here in the United States, even in Canada, okay? Australia, you guys, man, they took your guns and they just went full on dystopia with you guys, especially during that 2020 period. Now, a lot of people will say, a lot of the advocates for the CBDC will say, well, look, you already spend most of your money electronically. Yeah, that is true. But I do not want a mechanism like a CBDC. Right now, it wouldn't be a good idea. I wouldn't do it, but I can. And plenty of people do. I can go and I'm a law-abiding citizen. I can go buy me a new rifle using my debit card. And I don't have to worry about the credit card company saying, no, I can't do that. They actually tried that. Discover tried to lead into that by identifying codes used at certain institutions that sell, or certain establishments that sell firearms. They tried to identify that code and slap it on there as a prelude to possibly telling you you weren't going to be able to buy a firearm, exercise your Second Amendment right with their credit card. So I think they got a lot of pushback, and people said, well, fine. How about I just not have your credit card? And they walked away from doing that. Now, one of the more nefarious reasons that I think they did that is because they know that the CBDC is going to be pushed, and that would give the government the ability to do that. So right now, if I'm dealing with a financial institution, sure, there are certain reporting requirements, know your customer types of laws, sourcing of money. So, I'm not Pablo Escobar trying to come in and use illicit funds to buy something. Sure. But beyond that, I don't want the government in my business any more than they already are. Okay. Like I said, I'm a law-abiding citizen. Like I tell you guys all the time, when it comes to taxes, whatever we owe, we pay a little bit more. Okay. It's worth it. All right. I don't want to ever be called on the carpet about that. Right. I want to be left alone. All right. So when I have to interact with the government, I render unto Caesar that which is Caesar's. And this CBDC, bad idea, because it's going to metastasize away from just a way to spend money into a full-blown, crazy-ass control mechanism by a government that becomes more authoritarian with each passing day. Okay, guys? So let's reject that while we still can. Now, I want to bring your attention to a video that we actually put out today. Now, today for me is Wednesday. For you, I don't know when you're watching this, but the video that we dropped is about a bloodthirsty individual. He's a United States senator. This will give you some of the flavor for the type of people that will have purview over your money if we allow the CBDC to go into effect. We got a senator who wants to send Americans to war in Ukraine. Okay. Not only does he want boots on the ground, he wants nuclear bombs in the region as well. I tell you what, these people are insane. Now, war, he wants war in Taiwan. He wants boots on the ground in Taiwan. There are already American boots on the ground in Ukraine. The Pentagon leaked papers prove that. Special forces of the American military are there now. So this senator, he wants more war. He thinks that it's post-World War II in that we go to war and then we'll lift our economy. It's the exact opposite. We keep getting engaged in these conflicts and spending money like we are. What's happening is we are further devaluing the dollar. And we would be doing that while causing the destruction of life, limb, and property. These guys really have to go. They're beyond their good in terms of making decisions that are beneficial for this country. Watch the video. Guys, I'll talk to you soon.